Trailblazers big man DeAndre Ayton recently said he's a max player and has nothing to prove. We discuss his comments and how his stats may be a bit contradicting. It's a couple days away from Championship Sunday and we're on the edge of our seats. Former Super Bowl champion KJ Wright is here to talk some NFL playoffs. And finally, our friend and former Mackey Award winner Jake Butt is here to talk some college football. He tells us who has the biggest shoes to fill next season. That and more, next on The Rally.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to The Rally. Brooke Fletcher here alongside Joshua Perry. And you heard in the open there, we got two-time All-American and Mackey Award winner, former Michigan Wolverine tight end Jake Butt in studio with us.
All-American
That's
twice.
Twice, not once, but twice. How's that for an introduction?
It's the 2-year birthday for the rally today, too, right?
It is. I mean, and a great way to
Happy
celebrate. We got
birthday, you guys.
Yeah. Thanks for spending it with us.
Look at the confetti here. That's fun.
Oh, wow.
Joshua, and we're still not sick of each other. Can you believe it?
Can you believe it?
I thought you were about to throw me under the bus.
I wasn't. No, I'm not. I enjoy working with
Right?
everybody around here. It's been a fun 2 years. Hopefully a lot more ahead for us as well.
No, we have a lot of fun. Not many people have the luxury of saying they actually enjoy everybody that they work with, the people upstairs. We are just super thankful that we've been able to do this over the last 2 years. We've had a lot of fun, and there's more to come.
Yeah,
so let's
and all
start.
the people watching, too.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys
No
at
doubt.
home for hanging out with us and keeping this show alive, up and going. So let's continue this. As we begin year 3, Joshua. Okay, let's go to today's big trends because we're going to start in the NBA. And just one day after the Bucks parted ways with Adrian Griffin, Milwaukee has hired Doc Rivers as their head coach. Now, Rivers recently led the Sixers to 3 consecutive Eastern Conference semifinals. And Shams Charania, he was all over this yesterday, and he joins us now. Shams, congratulations on 2 years, by the way. How did things come together this quickly?
Yeah, we talked about this a lot yesterday, but the fact that over the course of Adrian Griffin's first 2 months of the season, they just did not go well. In November, you saw players come out and complain about some of the mechanisms, some of the schemes, and Adrian Griffin himself coming out and saying defensively, I had to go back to the system we ran before under Mike Budenholzer, and the players urged me to do so. So there was a lot of tension internally that was building up, and really the moment where this all became, I think, a reality that, listen, Adrian Griffin is on the clock. Actually, a couple moments. One, Terry Stotts, when he resigned as head coach because of a dispute with Adrian Griffin, that was one. And then in December, they bring in Doc Rivers as an informal consultant to Adrian Griffin, and he was essentially doing a series of meetings with Griffin, with the organization, and he was seen as the guy that could take over if Adrian Griffin was let go. And they just felt they did not have the ability with Adrian Griffin to maximize this team led by Giannis, led by Damian Lillard. They did not have the ability to maximize the championship window. That's what they're playing for in Milwaukee right now. And I talked to some people around the Bucks locker room tonight and today, and they told me that the stability factor and the respect factor are 2 things that they desperately needed. And they felt like they're now making an addition with that, with Doc Rivers coming in.
Man, the Bucks really said to Adrian Griffin, don't worry, we're bringing Doc in. Doc just a friend, though. You don't have to worry about him. Don't worry about him. He's just a friend. And I feel like as a young coach especially, I understand that you need mentors to breathe into your life, and hopefully they're people that you bring in and you seek advice from. But when the organization starts to bring in a guy who is a veteran coach, has had some really good teams, has a championship to his resume, feels like a situation where you got to look over your shoulder. So there's 2 parts of this. Number one, it feels a little bit crazy to understand the dynamic here of how Doc Rivers was brought in. Number 2, I think organizations across sports far too often, they know they don't have the right person at the top, and they let it fester, and they let what could be a good season go sour, right? We're looking at a Bucks team that's second in the East right now. A lot of people would say this is not a great time to fire a coach. I would say if you know it's not the guy, you probably should make a move, and especially if you have a veteran dude out there who's got a championship on his resume, and you know that the market might heat up later on in the season when the firings do happen, might as well get a jump on it. And so the Bucks are now in a position to where you have 2 of the best stars in the game in Damian Lillard and Giannis, and not a lot of excuses because you got the veteran dude in there who's supposed to be able to help you get things right for a team where it wasn't all bad. It just needed to come together the right way.
And yet, you know, Brooke, you said it there, Eastern Conference semifinals, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the most recent stint with the Sixers, and it's kind of become a little bit of a trend for Doc Rivers. I'm a Lakers fan. I'm a LeBron fan.
Go ahead.
There were some saying, hey, maybe the Lakers should bring in Doc Rivers, and that it's still attached with that good but not good enough. So even though the Bucks feel they have a championship window right now, even if you think Doc is an upgrade, you have to question, is it going to be enough to reach the ultimate goal this year?
9 straight games with chances to reach conference finals as far as and he lost in all of those 9 games there. So he has struggled a little bit down the stretch of the postseason, but he has won a title with the Celtics there. He's had 16 winning seasons. So this is a guy, if he has the right pieces on this team, he knows how to bring a championship. So, you know, Shams, with that, obviously the Bucks, they're expecting to get back to the finals this year. We know the defense has been struggling a bit. So with the trade deadline coming up on February 8th, could they potentially make a move in order to help make that happen?
Their big move came with Damian Lillard. They just don't have the asset pool right now. They don't have any first-round draft picks to trade. They have some second-round draft picks. I think they can move in trades. Salaries like Pat Connaughton, you could see being available and on the move. But aside from his salary, you don't want to trade a guy like Bobby Portis. So Pat Connaughton, Marjon Beauchamp, like, do you combine a couple of those guys? That probably gets you, you know, in a range to where you can sign, you know, or try to trade for a player making upwards of $10 million. But aside from that, they just don't have the salaries to go out or the assets to go make a big move, a big splash. But I do think they will be aggressive. The type of player that they want is a wing defender, preferably a guy that can make threes. They're going to be in the market for that for sure.
All right, well, today's poll, will Doc Rivers win a title with Milwaukee? Scan the QR code or go to playtherally.com. Let us know your thoughts. But we were talking about the trade deadline. It's quickly approaching February 8th. The Heat, they've been making some moves, one of those being Terry Rozier. And now the Heat, they play the Grizzlies here tonight. So, Shams, could we see Rozier on the court as soon as tonight?
Brooke, I'm told Terry Rozier has been cleared to make his debut tonight against the Grizzlies in Miami. He's a Miami kid, and he's coming back home, and he's averaging career highs across the board, really, 24 points a game. This is a massive addition for an Eastern Conference team that just, you know, it's made 2 finals appearances over the last 4 years. Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, the Heat have been trying to figure out a way to get another scorer, playmaker at the guard position for the last couple of years. We've been talking about it. Donovan Mitchell, Damian Lillard, the list goes on. And so finally they get Terry Rozier, and they need him to gel, and they need to figure out how he fits with Tyler Hero in the backcourt, and how those 2 guys are going to be able to play off the ball with each other, defend the other guard position. So big addition and the start of chemistry building for the Heat tonight.
All right, let's switch gears here and take it out west, because DeAndre Ayton, he had something to say to the critics, Shams, and he said he has nothing to prove and that he's a max player. So this comment kind of comes at an unusual time considering how much he's regressed this season. Shams averaging a career low, just 12.8 points per game. So what insight do you have as to why his time in Portland hasn't really taken off like many had hoped?
I think you can look probably at the guard position. Right now, they're still trying to transition. Scoot Henderson, just 19, 20 years old. He's still learning that point guard position. That's the toughest position players say to adjust to, especially as a rookie guard coming in. So it's going to be a process for Scoot Henderson to adjust. They just don't have a real primary guy that they can lean on. Anthony Simons has played some point, but he's more of a scoring guard. So that's probably the reason for the decline in points per game. But DeAndre Ayton, I mean, half his statement was true. He is a max player right now. The other half of the statement was he's going to continue to be a max player. You gotta want that every single day. You know, Josh, JB, you guys played. You know, I think you gotta have a level of motivation and drive every single day, not assume you have a certain value.
I'm fully there with you. You also have to have a level of self-awareness, I think, in these situations as well. Brooke, you mentioned, scoring average is the lowest of his career. His field goal percentage is the lowest of his career. Quite frankly, you start to look at the body of work here, too, and it's not like he's made leaps and bounds since his rookie year in the NBA. It's kind of been a little bit of a roller coaster up and down. It's really been kind of in that same area in terms of points per game, rebounds, steals, blocks, things of that nature. So I'm looking at this dude, and yes, you're being paid plenty of money, and there's going to be expectations that come along with that. But brother, you got to back them up at some point when you start popping off at the mouth.
You know, Joshua, I know you probably played with guys like this where they could kind of, they said something to deflect and make themselves feel better. Like, oh, well, I never really even tried anyways, right? And it feels like that where, you know what, DeAndre, you are a max player, which means you're going to be judged by max player numbers, right? And is your performance, is your numbers meeting that standard and that expectation? Clearly not this season.
Let me just say this one thing real quick, Brooke, and I'll give it back to you. But we used to have this thing in the locker room, and I'm sure this will resonate with you, Jake. There were guys who, when you would confront them about something, they had a bad game or whatever the case was, they would always go back to, yeah, but I'm rich. Yeah, but I'm getting money.
What are you really telling us?
Yeah, bro, we know you're rich. Like,
exactly.
that's not the question here.
Yeah.
Are you playing well is the question here, and it is. It's a coping mechanism. It's a way to deflect what's really going on in a certain situation.
And being rich comes with the price.
Right.
We're going to ask those questions.
Yes,
and you remember, like, sometimes when you're, like, get out of a relationship and then you look back and you're like, there were red flags there. Like, I should have, like, seen that coming. Remember we were making excuses for him in Phoenix, and we were like, maybe he just needs a change of scenery. But, you know, you were hearing rumblings about his attitude, his poor performance in the playoffs. And so, yeah, exactly. So it's like, okay, well, maybe, you know, there were signs leading up to this. And so are people really surprised that he's not performing there with the Trailblazers? So, but he's making, what, $32 million a year? So,
and to Sham's point, what's around him is definitely still building, right? So you got to give a little bit of grace there, but at the same time, if you're that dude, it doesn't matter sometimes.
And yet, you're the guy.
Right.
And yet, you're the guy.
When you're the dude.
Both ways. What's around you, but you're the guy.
Yeah, if you want to be the guy.
It runs through you.
Yeah, you better act like the guy.
All right, well, we're just getting started today on the rally. We got a lot coming your way. We're also going to talk on our 2-year anniversary. Is this going to go all the show?
I hope so.
The whole show, because I like the confetti there.
Oh, yeah.
All right, listen, it's a new day for the sport of volleyball. The Pro Volleyball Federation launches tonight, and one of their stars, Kayla Caffey, she's going to join the show. How about the Seahawks? They are looking for a new head coach, so we'll ask Seattle legend KJ Wright who he thinks should be roaming the sideline next year. And the Lovers and Friends Festival has put together an all-star lineup, but is it better than the Dodgers lineup? Well, we're going to discuss coming up next. welcome back. Brooke Fletcher here alongside Joshua Perry. JP, guess what?
What?
We are just hours away from the first ever match in the Pro Volleyball Federation history. So we got to welcome in a member of the league, and that is Kayla Caffey. She is the middle blocker for the Grand Rapids Rise, and she joins us now. Kayla, how's it going?
Good. How are you guys?
We're doing well. We're excited to watch you. As Brooke said, you're one of the teams that will be debuting tomorrow. So we just want to get a sense of your emotions right now. What are you feeling 24 hours away?
I think the biggest thing that I could say I feel is gratitude. I'm just honestly just so grateful to be able to play volleyball on American soil and just have this opportunity to make history here in the States and with these amazing women on my team. So just extremely grateful.
So you've been through camp and the practices already. So what stood out to you so far about the league, whether it's the coaches, your teammates, or just the league as a whole?
I think as a whole, I think the league has done an amazing job recruiting talent. I mean, our team is stacked. I feel like other teams have done a really good job creating their rosters. They've done just a great job in pulling this all together. I mean, this is like a well-oiled machine, and I just think it's so amazing. Like, I would put it up there and compare it with the NBA or like the WNBA, and I'm just so excited. Like, this is the first year, and I just can see this taking off and just being a huge thing, and it's so exciting.
Yeah, no, we're excited over here too, and I think the idea is that this thing is going to take off, so we're really looking forward to it. But as we mentioned, you debut tomorrow, and then you've got about a 2-week gap before your next game. So what is your plan to make sure that you're staying locked in and focused throughout the season?
I think just like every day we come in and we have our support staffs that are here to help support us, whether we need extra reps, like just in the weight room, training, and we're just going to hammer it hard on our side, like training wise. And I think that 2 weeks won't matter. I mean, we're just going to work really hard in the gym and stay in shape.
Well, Kayla, before coming on, you know, we had to, of course, look at your stat sheet, right, from college here, and it was pretty impressive. You had a good mix of kills and blocks here, so I'm curious, what feels better as a player, a kill or a block?
That's so funny. We were just talking about this yesterday. I said that I like rather blocking than hitting because I just feel like blocking is way more disrespectful. Like, if you just shut someone down, like at the net, like that's so much more disrespectful than like just a kill straight down. So definitely blocking, and it wasn't always blocking. That's like a new thing that has just come about in maybe the last 2 or 3 years.
So we talk the NBA here. You know, in the NBA, when you block, like sometimes the guys, they give the stare down.
A little mean mug.
Yeah, do you give like a mean mug or a stare down when you block an opponent?
I would say no, but I think so because I have Mac Pedralza on my team, and she said that like I was not a fun opponent to play against, and that was news to me. I thought that I was doing my thing, she was doing her thing, but she recently told me she hated playing against me, so it's a good thing we're teammates now.
I love to hear that. Absolutely love to hear that. Now, you've played just about everywhere. You played here in the city of Chicago for high school, and then you played at a few major powerhouse programs in college, started off your pro career in Puerto Rico. So how does Grand Rapids compare to some of the other locations that you've played in?
Grand Rapids is just going to be up there with Chicago. It's freezing here. It's the Midwest. It's definitely not Puerto Rico, a tropical island. But the one thing that I can say about Grand Rapids, and I can already see it now, is they love volleyball. And when I was in Austin and when I was in Nebraska, those are two communities that just absolutely love volleyball and just rally around the sport. So I think we're in a really good hub for that here.
How do you think all those stops, I mean, we just went through the list there. How do you think all those stops have really impacted your game on the court?
I think, like, honestly, just like having to, for one, just learn different styles of play and just different people, and just also just picking up something here and there. Like, every coach has something to offer, whether it's a blocking or a hitting tip. And I just think being at all those places is just so valuable because I've gotten to learn so much about the game in different aspects.
All right, Kayla, got one more question for you here. But as you start to look bigger picture for yourself and for this league, how would you consider, what would be considered a success for year one of this league?
I think success for just year one of this league would just be like our team just rallying together, fighting hard, and just obviously we want to win. Like, just like a really successful year for Grand Rapids Rise. I think that is all that I can ask for. I want the league as a whole to do good, so I want fans to be everywhere that we go, arenas to be sold out, packed out, So I think like more just like big picture more than personal. I just want this league to do well, and I want our team to do well especially.
All right, Pro Volleyball Federation getting started up here. That is Kayla Caffey from the Grand Rapids Rise. We appreciate your time over here on the Rally, and best of luck this season.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, JP, one thing that we can agree on that things get a little weird in the minor leagues,
Sure
and
do.
it's about to get a whole lot stranger thanks to AI. Yeah, we're gonna ramp up the AI generator here on the Rally, and we're going down a rabbit hole, let me tell you that. That's on the other side of the break. Stick around.
Let's head to Australia, where the action down under is all about the women today. It's the semifinals and arguably the biggest match of the tournament. Coco Gauff and Aryna Sabalenka. Yes, it's a rematch of what we saw at the U.S. Open final. Coco Gauff got the better of her, ultimately winning her maiden Grand Slam title. But Aryna Sabalenka is the defending champion here in Melbourne, and she's been playing flawlessly. She hasn't dropped a set en route to the semifinal. Coco Gauff is going to have to play better than she did in her last match against Marta Kostyuk. That was the worst we've seen her play in quite some time, but she does have a chance here. Not to mention, she should have some confidence leading that head-to-head over Sabalenka 4-2. So that one's definitely going to be exciting. And then the other semifinal is also quite exciting. A lot of storylines surrounding these two players. You got Jung Chin-wen and Diana Yastremska. Yastremska's a Ukrainian player, so obviously a lot of support for all that she's been going through with her home country, but also the fact that she's a qualifier, the first qualifier to make it this far in Melbourne in over 50 years. And both of them are here at this stage for the first time in their careers. It's going to be a fun one. And by the end of tonight or early morning hours down under, we're going to have an understanding of who is going to play in the final at the Australian Open. Lots to look forward to.
Thank you so much, Danny K. You guys waking up 2:30 a.m. to watch Coco?
I'm going to be gone.
I'm catching the highlights.
I'm setting my alarm. I'm going to try, and I'm going to let you guys know if I actually
Congratulations.
miss it. It's supposed to be a good match. Come on. All right. Well, let's switch gears here because the Somerset Patriots, a minor league team, they introduced their alternate uniforms as the Jersey Diners here to celebrate the historic and cultural significance of the Garden State. JP, what do you think?
First off, New Jersey, terrible state. Jake and I both have ties to
That's
that
your
state.
mother's home
Great
state.
state. Both of my parents.
Great
actually.
Both of your
diners,
parents.
great
Now,
steak.
the one thing that they do well is the diner. You get on the turnpike, and off of every exit, you'll find a nice diner where you can go and have a good hearty meal. So I do appreciate that singular aspect of New Jersey. The rest of it is terrible.
The second thing they do well is the Somerset Patriots. There's a mall called their Somerset Mall. No taxes on clothing out there.
I might
know
need to
you're a
go ahead.
financial guy.
Yeah,
Yes,
check that
right?
out. Thank
Love
you.
that.
So the diners and the taxes.
If I ever venture back to New Jersey, I'll check it out.
Fun fact here, Jersey is the diner capital of the world with over 500 diners.
Wow.
Yeah.
How cool
You know
is
Little
that?
did you know.
What makes their diner special, I guess it's true for all diners, whatever food you want at any time of the day, they're open 24 hours, you can get it.
Right?
Pancakes, steak,
It's
you
nothing
can get
fancy,
a gyro,
just
you
the
can
good
get soup.
stuff, just the simple things.
Yep.
Like, I love a good diner.
Good coffee, too.
Detroit had a lot of good diners, by the way. All right, well, that gave us an idea here to create some other alternate identities for minor league teams.
Love
all right,
that.
so of course we had to ramp up the OAI generator here. So how about the Georgia onions? Known
What?
for their Vidalia onions.
I was gonna say I recognize Georgia for peaches. And,
Yeah.
You know, maybe
Peanuts.
peanuts even, which I'm allergic to. But the onions, I'm here for.
I like it. What do you think, Jake?
It's what's throwing me off is I get that that's their colors, but a green onion, that's the shape of a white onion. I'm a cook, so that's the shape of a white onion or a yellow onion or a red onion.
Oh,
We have
here
another
we go.
option
Okay,
here.
there we go.
Obviously,
Now I like
we
that
know
one.
that the
Now that
AI
works
has
more for
problems
me.
spelling
Yeah,
things,
AI
but ignore
struggles
that.
with the spelling.
Just focus on the logo.
Always, but this is a fun one.
That's definitely giving minor
This one
league.
works for me right here.
I like the little mustache. How about, we had to pay tribute to you, a Michigan
Okay.
guy. How about
Yes.
the Michigan mittens?
That's right. Now this one works for a number of reasons, of course. You spent some time in Michigan too, Brooke, right? Isn't that how you tell a Michigander?
Yeah, with the old mitten
You
there.
point up your hand. This is how you identify where you're from in the
Not
great
very
state of
tough.
That's
Michigan.
actually a great idea because
Not
like the
very
glove,
tough.
it can also be like a mitten.
In the winter,
This
yes,
one's
exactly.
tougher. I like that one better. And it's got the little Wolverine deal going on too. So
The
a little
Wolverines are
shout
up.
out to
We do got to work on that spelling there.
So the spelling
Yeah.
is
Mission.
horrendous.
yikes.
Actually, but they got it right there. There you
Okay,
go.
yeah, halfway.
Okay, so
Mintens.
Death Valley. Okay, Jake, because
This one's for you, Jake.
This is for you because we know that you sweat sometimes. So how about the Death Valley Perspirators?
Now this is what I need to sign an NI. I need to get signed by this team. We need a marketing budget. Wait, is that me?
That's you.
That's you with
They
the
put
flow.
in Jake Butt on the Death Valley Perspirators.
I don't know what the hell that says, but it certainly is not.
Precipitation? What
It's
is
great.
Seriously, AI. Come
is
on, we
what I
gotta
can get
get it
behind
together.
this.
All right, we're not done yet. How about Napa Valley Cork Poppers?
Ah, yes, a little nod to wine
Oh,
country
wine.
out there, you know. Get you a little drink while you're at the game. I'm here for this. This is actually one of my favorite logos, although the eyes up here are a little creepy. This one was really good.
At all
like that
places, this is
one.
probably the best place to go watch a game, right?
Yeah.
Drink some nice wine in Napa.
Very fancy there.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, could you imagine the view with the vineyards in the background? Wow, I think we're really onto something. And finally, this is Joshua came up with this one. You want to
Yeah.
take it?
Yeah, Winston-Salem. Used to live there as a kid. My father spent some time in the tobacco industry. Why not do a little nod to the economy down there in North Carolina, the Winston-Salem heaters? Smoke them if you got them, but don't for real.
The cool factor, this is up there. This might be number one. Based on the cool factor, JP, you're onto something.
I really
we got
like
the
it, but
hat
should
coming
we
out of
take
the
a look
carton.
at the ash there at the end of the mustache? There on
It's
fire.
amazing.
Should we really be promoting
Yeah, we
cigarettes?
were going
though?
No, we shouldn't be. Let's make this very clear, but we should also acknowledge the economic impact and the history
Yes.
that the crops down there in North Carolina had. You know?
Yep. Which one was your favorite? So I'm assuming the heaters. Jake, what about you?
The perspirators.
It was,
Just 'cause
it was
felt like
really
home.
the Napa
Yeah.
Valley one, honestly.
I know, right? We get a nice like wine sponsor, sip some wine during the game. Man, it's great. Let's take one more look at the perspirators here. Look,
I
Jake,
got-
that could be you.
that could be me.
Down
It's a
in Death
very
Valley,
similar haircut,
The hottest
yeah.
place in the United States.
Yeah.
You'd have to drink a lot of water.
They look,
look
that's a
uncomfortable.
nervous sweat though.
It
You see,
looks
like it's
uncomfortable.
in the bottom of the ninth and they need to make a play now. That's a nervous sweat.
We should get this on a T-shirt. We got to work.
We should.
On this.
That's pretty
I think
good.
we're onto something there.
That's a nervous sweat too much.
All right, that was fun, guys. Listen, the Seahawks, they're looking for a new head coach. So we're going to ask our Seattle guy, legend KJ Wright. He's going to join the show to give us his thoughts on where the Seahawks should go from here. That's coming up next. Welcome back to the Rally. Brooke Fletcher here alongside Jake Butt and Joshua Perry. Guys, let's talk some NFL, shall we? And who better to have on than Super Bowl champ and Pro Bowler KJ Wright. KJ, what's up?
What's going on, guys? How y'all doing?
Doing well. It's
We're
always good
doing
to talk to you.
Always great to talk to you.
Y'all ready for Championship Sunday?
Oh,
yeah, actually, I
absolutely.
like it. But you know, it's sad though because it just feels like less and less games as the weeks go on. It's just, you know, the off season's coming.
It's that dark time of the year without football coming.
I know, right? College football is over, but we do have two big games on deck this weekend, and but we got to talk about just the coaching carousel going on, and you know, your Seattle Seahawks, you guys are in the mix. They're still looking for a head coach. So, what type of coach do you think would be good for the Seahawks job?
Well, first off, I just want to just thank and congratulate Coach Carroll for 14 fantastic years. The guy's a legend. I truly love him. We're going to miss him here in Seattle. But with this next wave that's coming in and this football team, Brooke, we have got to have a coach that's going to instill some discipline in these guys. I mean, this one thing that really bothered me this past year, so much talent, so much skill set all over the football field, but way too many times we got in our own way. Way too many times we got distracted. And so I know that there's plenty of coaches out there that understand how to lay down the law, like lay down the hammer when it needs to be done. I'm a big fan of Dan Quinn. We all know that I played for him here in Seattle. Defensive coordinator was a top four defense for 4 years in a row. So DQ is personally my favorite. And another guy I'm looking at is Mike McDonald, the Ravens defensive coordinator. He's a guy that's just putting up crazy numbers when it comes to shutting down offenses, just putting up big-time numbers on the defensive side of the football. So those two guys right now are my top two candidates.
Yeah, Mike McDonald is a guy who has picked up a ton of steam in NFL circles here as a defensive coordinator. He's done a phenomenal job, and Ravens taking on the Chiefs on Sunday. So let's talk about a couple of those guys on that defense there at linebacker. They got Patrick Queen and Roquan Smith. Those two guys have been balling out. So you think they're the best linebacker duo in the NFL right now?
I wouldn't say that, JP. They're good. They're nice, but we can't forget Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw. Come on now. But what they do bring to the table, let's talk about Roquan and Patrick Queen. Patrick's going to be a free agent after this year. He's going to be demanding tip-top dollars. What he's done since he came out of LSU in these past 4 years, they didn't pick up his fifth-year option, so I know he's upset. I know he was mad coming into the season, so he's been stellar all season long. And for Roquan Smith, the big-time trade from the Chicago Bears, who they just let leave their franchise, is the epitome, is the alpha male that you want at your middle linebacker position. Sideline to sideline, talking smack, running and hitting, setting the tone, and they are #1 defense in the NFL because of number 0. I'm a big fan of both of these guys, but if I had to pick, I'm rolling with number 54 and number 57 in San Fran.
That's the group for me.
Yeah.
I was going to say those guys in San Francisco, Greenlaw and Fred Warner, are ridiculous. And you talk about a dude in Dre Greenlaw, too, who had a couple interceptions in that game. Like, I mean, the way that those guys play is different.
But when you're playing the Chiefs, the opportunity you have to play Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, you can really silence a couple doubters if you can get it done this weekend. All right, sticking on the conversation of linebackers, Dan Morgan is the new Panthers GM. So, in your opinion, do linebackers make the best GMs/evaluators of talent?
What kind of question is that? Of course we do. Are you kidding me? Let's just everyone look at the linebacker position through our eyes. We go against offensive linemen dang near every play. We see what phenomenal quarterbacks look like, what the good ones versus the elite ones look like. We know what outstanding running backs look like. Defensive linemen, like we have to see everything at linebacker. We have to watch countless film in order to be successful on the football field. We know what good leaders look like. It's just the linebacker position is the position. And for Dan Morgan to get that opportunity to be the GM, I texted him last night to congratulate him. And this is really big time for him because he definitely earned it. I can't wait to see how he builds this Carolina Panthers football team.
Linebackers got the thing figured out. I love everything you said. It's the quarterback of the defense, but we don't get all the shine because we're not the pretty boys out there. We see it all. We feel it all. The intangibles to be a linebacker are the intangibles you need to be successful in life.
Hey, Dan Campbell's making a big push for the tight ends out there in Detroit now. All right, so shout out to Dan Campbell.
Speak your truth, Jake. Speak your truth. Stick up for your tight ends there. All right, well, let's dive deeper into this San Francisco game here. And they're taking on the Lions. Now, this is going to be a huge game, especially for San Francisco. If Deebo Samuel is not good to go, KJ, we know how big of a factor he is for this offense. How is his absence, if he can't go, going to impact the success of this 49ers offense here?
Listen, if Deebo Samuel is in the lineup, the San Francisco 49ers is the best offense in the playoffs right now. Without Deebo Samuel in the lineup, no question, they're the 4th best offense in the NFL right now. Let's look at Christian McCaffrey. The offense runs through CMC. The run game, the pass game, he is the guy. But a very close second is a Deebo Samuel with just his ability to break tackles, his ability to catch the ball and just have yards after the catch. They put him at running back. He's a red zone threat. And for Kyle Shanahan, his playbook is this big with Deebo Samuel. He gets creative with him, fly sweeps, jet sweeps, all the type of creative stuff he does with Deebo Samuel. This playbook is about to shrink with what you can do as an offense. Brock Purdy isn't the same type of quarterback without a Deebo Samuel on the other side of the football. And so if he's not in the lineup, if he's not playing, it's hard for me to say that the 49ers are going to beat the Detroit Lions this Sunday.
Okay, so you're telling me there's a chance for the Lions here that they could go to the Super Bowl?
I got the Lions going to the Super Bowl. I'm picking them to win it.
Let's go.
I'm picking not win it, but win this ball game. Win this ball game.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, at least that's a bold statement there because there are a lot of doubters against the doubt that the Lions are going to beat the 49ers here. We know it's a tough task for them, but they can do it. I believe in them.
I think the biggest matchup in that game that a lot of us were thinking about is the Niners offense, and we're thinking full strength against the Lions defense that I think really has had to scheme to overcome some deficiencies. But when you take Debo out, and as you mentioned, that guy is a coverage dictator. He dictates a lot of how you want to play defense. If he's not in the game, it makes it a little bit easier there. So that'll be one to look at. But talk about one of the teams that was eliminated over the weekend, and that's the Buffalo Bills. They are up against the salary cap. So you think they're going to be able to run it back, or are they at the end of that championship window?
Can they get to the divisional rounds? Yes. Can they get to the AFC Championship? 100%. But can they get to the Super Bowl? Not until Patrick Mahomes decides to retire. It is not happening until Patrick Mahomes decides to say, I'm done in the NFL. Josh Allen, now it's your turn. Just playing Josh Allen in my career, phenomenal athlete. Just one of the greatest quarterbacks I've seen in this game with what he can do on the football field. Makes big plays left and right. But what Josh Allen has got to channel, what Josh Allen has got to do, is he got to understand, I got to do the little things better than anybody else on the football field. I got to be dialed in to the details every single play. I just go back to that play with Stephon Diggs coming right across the middle. And I'm like, throw the ball, Josh Allen. He's your best receiver. Get him the rock. I know if Patrick Mahomes would have done that. I know if Patrick Mahomes would have turned that 5-yard drag route into a 30-yard play. But Josh Allen, so much he wants to be Superman. So many times he wants to be aggressive and get the ball downfield. And we saw the results that happened. And so is he physically gifted? 100%. But the small, intricate details that it takes to get to the Super Bowl, I need Josh Allen to really start tapping into that because he definitely has the ability to do so.
Yeah, the guys who like to put the cape on are some of the most difficult to coach and to understand because what makes them great is also the thing that holds them back at times. So definitely going to have to rein that in during the offseason. But one final question before we get you out of here. You're a guy who's won a Super Bowl. You've gone far in the playoffs in your career. I was on some bad football teams. I never got to experience it. So what's it like on Championship Sunday compared to the Super Bowl?
It's not even close, JP. Just when you get to Championship Sunday, you have a real vision like, oh my goodness, I can actually get this and obtain like the dream of my life. I've been watching the Super Bowl since I was a kid. I just envisioned being in the biggest stage ever. And the NFC Championship and the AFC Championship is when you get that real sense of like, I can go out here and really call myself a champ one day. And the how do I explain it? The dynamic, the energy, just the force out there on the football field, I promise you, it is night and day. The Super Bowl is cool. You got the 2 weeks, you turn off, you got the game, got all the build-up, all the highlights. But that NFC Championship weekend, you remember when we played the Niners? You remember when we played the Green Bay Packers and won in overtime? It's those type of games that I really loved out of my career. The Super Bowl is, it may sound crazy, but, you know, it's just the Super Bowl.
Wow.
It's crazy to hear.
Yeah, it's just
it sounds bizarre.
But
it sounds bizarre, but that's the truth. I promise it is.
I mean, the anticipation leading up to the Super Bowl, right? And there's so much pressure to get there. And I'm sure you probably felt the same way competing in a national title, just all those games leading up to it.
No, I mean, I will say, like, the first round, because we were playing in the CFP, the first year of it, that first round felt like there was more pressure, more anticipation, more buildup than it did for the national title game. So I can resonate with that to a certain degree.
It'll be interesting in terms of the teams that have won these conference championships in the past. How much does that play into this? Like, can the Lions get over the hump? It's been a while, right?
I mean, it's got to be a factor, right?
Never, right?
Yeah.
They've never been in this situation, or it's been a really long time since that city has something to celebrate. So, KJ, we appreciate you taking the time. And hey, you can catch KJ, download his podcast, KJ, all day, wherever you listen to your podcast. And you can also hear him on Seattle's ESPN, 7:10 a.m. KJ, we appreciate you taking the time. Good to see you.
Thank you guys as always.
Is it really a show these days if we're not mentioning Jim Harbaugh? Reports from Sam Webb from 247 Sports are that Michigan has improved their offer to Jim Harbaugh. Now, the new deal would make him the highest paid coach in college football, an elevator clause that would increase his salary if any coach ever surpassed his salary, and immunity from termination for the 2 current NCAA investigations. So, Jake, I'm going to tee you up here because you are obviously very familiar with this team and you know Jim Harbaugh. So what direction do you think we're heading heading in with this whole situation?
We're maintaining the same direction that we've been in throughout this whole situation, which is, no one really knows. And I say this as a guy that played for Coach Harbaugh. This is a unique situation. You have to throw out every other head coaching hire that you're used to hearing about. There's no inner circle for Jim Harbaugh. I don't even think his family truly knows. I don't think there's been one time where Jim has externally verbalized his clear desires for what he wants to do. I think he's still in a waiting and gathering type situation. Now, I will say this. I've maintained that I believe he wants to stay in Ann Arbor. And what we see with these new offers in the contract is what he's been asking for, right? Highest, an escalator, so he maintains the highest paid head coach in college football. Also, the fact that he has immunity from these current NCAA investigations. That's everything that he's been asking for. So I will say this, if I was a Michigan fan, if we can confirm that these reports in the contract are 100% true, and things don't move quickly in a positive direction for Michigan, I'd say maybe this would be the first time I could say there would be reason for concern. But this is exactly what Jim Harbaugh's been asking for.
If Jim Harbaugh is not enticed by the things that it's been reported that he claimed that he wanted in these contract negotiations, which are things, as you mentioned, that are being reported or in this new contract offer, this would point to the idea of there's something or somebody in that athletic department that Jim Harbaugh does not want to deal with. And a lot of people are speculating right now that it would be Ward Manuel in his relationship with the athletic director. I think it would be a very intriguing thought process for Michigan as they evaluate here. If they can pin down that Ward Manuel is their singular obstacle, do you make a move now knowing you would get Jim? Because if he can't lock Jim down, he's not going to be there very much longer. They've got the Juwan Howard issue that people are talking about. Do you want him to have to hire the next coach? This is a very intriguing dynamic going on that athletic department.
This is just in, and this is one thing that we do with live shows. Sometimes we have updates happening in real time, and coincidentally, as we are talking about Jim Harbaugh, Adam Schefter just reported that he is going to the LA Chargers as the head coach.
Here we go.
All of this speculation on if he was going to stay, he's heading to the NFL.
So let me put a pin on this then, because I'm glad this happened at this time. If you're Santa Ono and you are the Board of Regents at the University of Michigan, the time is now to look at your athletic department and say, are we under the proper direction? Because you had a coach who is a Michigan man, a national champion, went 15-0. The best team in the country this year, by far, has built a culture that is unquestioned within that locker room. And he walked away when it's being reported that you offered him everything he asked for. There's an issue there.
Jake, you look in disbelief right now. Just kind of walk me through what you're
No, I wouldn't say disbelief. I wouldn't say disbelief. Listening to you talk, JP, that's a fair point to say, and I think you have to even understand where the program was when Jim Harbaugh got here, too, to understand the risk.
You were a part of that,
and I was a part of that. And let me just tell you, the joy that Michigan fans felt this year celebrating the national championship was proportional to the pain of that 5-7 season in 2014. I mean, those are two opposite ends of the spectrum. And one thing I do know is when Jim Harbaugh is the head coach, you're much more likely to be competing for national titles than you are to ever go 5-7. That's the true nature of this. And it does feel like a slip up, JP, because it feels like this has been off season and off season and off season now, where Jim has flirted with the NFL and then came back. And you have to say, what was missing? Why weren't they able to strike a lifelong deal with him? And if it is solely because he wants to pursue a Super Bowl, if we find out that that's the sole reason that all this is about is he wants to go compete for a Super Bowl, more power to him. I'll support him either way. But from your standpoint, if it's not just a Super Bowl,
I don't know.
Then we got to have questions.
It wouldn't feel like it's good enough for me to use that as the reason why he got out of there. And I understand the desire.
Conversations still have to happen.
100%. And I understand that his desire may have been to win a Super Bowl. And we talked about this before the show. When you're Jim Harbaugh, you're about 60 years old, you don't have the time to sign a 5-10 year deal with your alma mater and think you can go back to the league at 70 and pursue a Super Bowl, because those things take time to build. They have been haggling about this contract all year long. This was a storyline during the season, and before he got the second suspension, one of the storylines was, hey, we got a contract ready to go for Jim Harbaugh. All of a sudden, stuff starts coming out. They pull the contract. They were trying to figure out at the beginning of the year, after he served his first suspension, if they could get it done. This to me is problematic because they had a long time to figure this thing out. Coming off of 2 years before this, where they were back-to-back college football playoff teams, back-to-back Big Ten champs. They didn't get their coach locked down long term. He did this thing last year and said, I'm going to run it back, and he knew he had a great team. That was your time to get him locked up.
To your point, as you're talking, I'm just kind of processing this a little bit. And one thing I know about Jim Harbaugh is he's a straight shooter. If he's going to give you his honest and true self and he's just going to be up front with you, that's Jim Harbaugh, then he's going to expect the same. And as I think about it, as the reports came out today of what was being offered, and it's like, well, this is finally what he's asked for. Why wasn't this offered immediately when they said we have a contract in front of you back in the middle of the season? Because I think really what this comes down to is all Jim wanted was to know that people stood behind him. Jim and the national championship said, he was asked, hey, how do you deal with the speculation this season? And Jim said, we're innocent. He believes that. So he wants the people behind him to support that. And how you support that is by taking this contract that was offered today, 3 months ago.
And you want to talk about him wanting to be supported. There was a time during the season where he was asked a question in a press conference about the contract. And you know how Jim Harbaugh is. He says it to us, one-track minded. He doesn't think about anything he doesn't need to think about until it's time to. And so typically in season, Jim Harbaugh is not one to talk about negotiations. He's not one to talk about contracts. He went out of his way to start I just want to be somewhere where I feel like I'm appreciated and supported, and that whole narrative started during the season. He was telling them exactly where he was at in terms of what he might do if he doesn't feel that support. It's kind of crazy. And the last thing I'll say about this, there are folks right now in Columbus, Ohio, that are rejoicing that Jim Harbaugh is off to L.A. because he has been the thorn in their side. Had Michigan gotten this deal done, people would have lost their minds in Columbus, Ohio. And now, after an offseason already where they're bolstering their roster, they have made changes to their coaching staff, they feel like they got one up on the Michigan Wolverines. That's the impact that they're going to have to deal with in that athletic department.
And the flip side of that is, and I think what you're going to see is the frustration from the Michigan side is you're feeling like, man, we're finally here. We finally seized control of this rivalry, and there goes our head coach. It's going to slip right through your fingers because it's what you're losing in a head coach in Jim Harbaugh. I love Sharon Moore. I believe in Sharon Moore. I can't wait to see what he does. If I believe he'll be the next head coach, I'm excited to see what he does. But it's still Jim Harbaugh.
Right.
But it's also what the Buckeyes have done this offseason where they're pushing all their chips on the table, and here you are with Michigan losing your head coach.
It could be, but Jesse Minter as well.
Yeah.
I feel like he might be out the door, architect of one of the best defenses we've seen in college football, maybe the last 20 years, one of the most
significant.
Yeah, makes you wonder who he's going to take with or if he's going to take anybody from that staff. Is Sharon Moore, is he going to be the guy to step in his role? I mean, this is just coming out, you guys, that Jim Harbaugh, Adam Schefter reported he is now the head coach of the LA Chargers. I'm sure this is not the end of this. We're going to dive deeper into as we
Chargers got a lot better. Chargers got a lot better. Chargers got a lot better with Jim Harbaugh as their head coach.
One.
All right, like I said, this is not the end of this conversation here. We got still more to come here on The Rally. We got our poll. Will Doc Rivers win a title in Milwaukee? Speaking of coaching hires here, scan the QR code or go to playtherally.com. The conclusion of The Rally coming up next. is a festival going on in Vegas called Lovers and Friends, and this is the elite lineup. We got Usher, Janet Jackson, Backstreet Boys, Lil Wayne, Snoop Dogg, Gwen Stefani, Nas, Ludacris, Alicia Keys, Nelly Furtado, Sierra. I don't have time to name all the other ones, but that is quite the lineup, everybody. Is this the best lineup you've ever seen, Joshua?
Yes, and you mentioned some of the top line people. You didn't say Mary J. Blige. What about Brandy?
Right.
What about
How dare
Monica?
I?
What about T-Pain? How about Jodeci, Robin Thicke, Tyrese, some of my favorites, SWV, Escape. And we can keep going down the list. They got John B out there. He's going to give us 2 great songs from John B. How about 112? How about 112? This is going to be amazing. I'm going out to Vegas May 4th. I'm going to see you out there.
I said this in our group text last night. I was like, should we take a little field trip out to Vegas? And I love how the ones they threw in at the bottom there, like people that you forgot about, but it like brings up your.
I didn't forget.
You had Jaquan,
Sure.
Pretty Ricky,
Juvenile.
Juvenile.
Yeah, Yin Yang Twins. Drew Hill.
Yin Yang
How about
Twins.
Drew Hill? Tell me what you want.
You can't tell me you're going to be at this venue. Like, you're not going to go listen to the Yin Yang Twins, but if you're at the venue and you start to hear some of those top Yin Yang Twins, it's going to take you back a decade plus, right?
That was my first rap concert I've ever been to. The Yin Yang Twins.
The Christian
Shake it
rappers.
like a salt shaker.
The Christian rappers.
That was the Lil Wayne. I told my mom Lil Wayne was a Christian rapper, so she would let us go to his concert. He is not a Christian rapper. Great artist,
man.
though. Great artist.
That is great.
I mean, is there any other artist that we should add to make it better?
No, they've got it. This is perfect.
That's literally everybody. There's no one left out.
Don't mess with it.
Oh man, well it got us thinking. Can you create a better like NBA? Let's think of an NBA like an all-time lineup, real quick. Can you come up with one?
It just starts
that's
with
as
LeBron
good?
James, and then you fill in from there, right, Jake?
I should have known.
Flat out.
Come on,
You put
guys
MJ
are
in
so
there if you-
biased
if
He
you
to
took
like
LeBron
Bobby
James.
Gibson to the finals,
Yeah,
so
I mean, if you
can slap in
want to
anybody.
put MJ in there, you could put him in there. But as long as you got LeBron James, you're good.
Okay, how about Michael Jordan?
You can throw him in there.
He's all right.
I should
Yeah,
have
you can
known.
toss
The
him in there.
Ohio guy,
Yeah.
both Ohio guys
Yeah.
here. I should have known better. What am I doing?
Jake is sweating, by the way.
Big news
This
today.
Harbaugh
on the
news
show.
got me fired up.
It all worked out. Guys, see you tomorrow.